I am so very excited to share with you the process behind my painting, The Long Crossing. To date, this is the largest watercolor painting that I have ever created. I really enjoyed the challenge of working this large. I'm working with watercolor paper that's been mounted to a cradled wood board. And it's been mounted through a process that is archival, and I have links down below to a few tutorials and other videos that I've shared that process in if you're interested. My process starts with a sketch in pencil first, then I go over it in pen. As you can see here, I'm using a couple different colors of pen. I'm using Zig Writer pens. These are an archival waterproof pen that I can then go over in watercolor and it won't bleed. I often come back and work on the line work a little bit more in pencil before I actually go in and make it permanent with marker or pen. I like to leave things loose up until the point of I'm about to finalize it with a pen, and this just kind of allows me to make changes as I go if I need to. Working with a canvas this large was incredibly challenging. As you can see, it was kind of difficult to get good shots of it while I was working on it. It's, I believe, 12 inches by 24 inches. If you're wondering at all why on earth there is a hairdryer on my desk, it is because sometimes I use it to dry a painting quickly. I have colors that I've picked out and already mixed to the side, a couple of blues and greens, and some warmer tones to go towards the top. I wet down the entire canvas with a spray bottle, and then I go in with a large brush to kind of give the area a couple of washes of just really light paint. The water here was a lot of fun to work with, and I basically just created a big wash of a couple different aqua blues. I'm using a tissue to kind of help protect the page. It was still a little bit wet, and I'm trying to keep the colors blended, so you have to work very quickly and don't smudge anything or pick anything up by accident because it might mess up the texture. If you're blending watercolors a lot, that's really important that you keep the surface that you're working on wet and that you don't let any of the edges dry, because if they dry, they leave a kind of a interesting texture that's hard to pick back up again. This painting, I wanted to really go a lot bolder with my colors. As I've mentioned in the past, that's one of the things that I'm challenging myself to do. I had already picked out a color palette before I started working. As you can see, I have a laptop here, and that's where I keep my color study that I do in Photoshop before I start any of my paintings. I feel like having that color study really helps me to just make more bold decisions about what it is that I'm doing with my paint. I used a yoga block to prop up the entire painting while I was working on it at my table. I was never working with too much paint where I was worried about it dripping down the canvas, and so this helped to make it accessible with my arm while I was working. I'm always very sad when I use a color that's incredibly hard to scan or photograph, and some of the cyans in this piece were a little bit difficult to pick up in the end, but I feel like this video captures them fairly well. Most of this painting was a lot of blending, making sure all of my colors smoothly ran into each other in a nice gradient. I spent a lot of time blending a lot of colors, I feel like. Because I was blending so much, I ended up working up a lot of the layers very slowly from a larger wash to the more bold colors that I was really looking for. And it just took a lot of time. To keep it from getting muddy, I used a lot of the same colors over and over and over again on the exact same spots. I didn't try to overlap new colors onto other areas. This way, the finished color was a pure version of what was there originally. The inspiration behind this painting was to convey a sense of closure. We had a close family loss, and this piece was sort of to commemorate that, the crossing over from this world to the next. In many ways, I pulled from Tolkien's imagery of the white ships leaving Middle-earth and crossing over from one side to another. I wanted to explore what that other side might look like. Tall, beautiful, towering trees in an almost otherworldly place. I really enjoyed creating this piece, and although it was quite a challenge, it was a very enjoyable one. If you're at all interested in prints of this painting, I have links down below. This is also the cover of my newest art book, An Offering of Light. And currently, right now, it's on Kickstarter for pre-order, but it will also eventually be in my store. Thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.